Think about every movie you have ever seen set in the Middle Ages. There is always one scene: a wooden scaffold, a crowd, a large man in a black hood holding an axe. You think you know who that man is. You don't. The hooded executioner is almost entirely a myth. In reality, everyone knew exactly who the executioner was. There was no need for a hood. His face was familiar. His house was known. His children went to the same market as yours. And that was precisely the problem. This is the story of what it actually meant to be a medieval executioner. The money, the isolation, the diary that survived 500 years, and the man who wanted to be a doctor. Nuremberg, 1573. A young man of 18 stands in a public square. Around him, hundreds have gathered. They are not there to see him. They are there to see what he is about to do. His name is Franz Schmidt, and this is his first execution. He did not choose this profession. Nobody ever did. In medieval Europe, crime had to be punished, and punishment had to be public. A death sentence meant nothing if no one witnessed it. Justice, in the medieval mind, required a spectacle, a visible reminder of what happened to those who broke the law. But who would deliver that spectacle? Almost nobody volunteered. The most common path into the profession was the worst possible one: inheritance. If your father was an executioner, you became one too. Not by suggestion, by law, by custom, by the simple fact that no one else would hire you anyway. Franz Schmidt's father had not chosen the profession either. He was pulled from a crowd by a Bavarian magistrate who needed a hanging done immediately and had no executioner available. The offer was simple: perform the execution or be executed yourself. He performed it, and from that single moment, the fate of his entire family was decided. Franz was born into a world where his future was already written. At 18, under his father's supervision, he stepped onto the scaffold for the first time. Over the next 45 years, he would perform exactly 361 executions. He recorded every single one in his diary. Let us talk about what the job actually paid. The answer is, it depended entirely on where you worked and what you were asked to do. At the top end, a well-established executioner in a major city could earn the equivalent of a comfortable annual salary, enough for a large house, servants, and a stable life. Franz Schmidt himself, after decades of professional work, lived well. His appointment as official executioner of Bamberg came with a generous salary and significant status within his narrow world. But most executioners were not Franz Schmidt. In smaller towns and villages, an executioner might receive only a few coins per execution, and executions were rare. Weeks, sometimes months, passed with no work at all. A single hanging might pay less than a day's wages for a skilled craftsman. This is why the job required much more than execution. He collected animal carcasses from the streets. He cleaned cesspools and latrines. He taxed lepers and prostitutes operating illegally within city limits. He ran the knackery, the place where sick and dying animals were processed for fat, hide, and bone. In France, they had a name for it: Maître des hautes et basses œuvres, master of high works and low works. The high work was execution. The low work kept the family from starving, and there was always far more low work than high. Here is what surprises people most about medieval executioners. Franz Schmidt treated far more patients than he executed. His knowledge of human anatomy, inevitable given his profession, made him a skilled healer. He set broken bones. He treated wounds. He prescribed remedies. People came to him quietly, through back doors, because they had no other option and because, whatever else he was, he knew the human body better than almost anyone in Nuremberg. He once wrote in his diary that if he had been free to choose, he would have become a doctor. That diary is one of the most remarkable documents to survive from medieval Europe. Not written by a king, not by a bishop or a general, by a man who performed executions for a living and spent his evenings writing down what he had seen, what he had felt, and what he believed about justice. 361 executions, each one recorded. Names, crimes, methods, and sometimes small human details that no history book would have thought to preserve. But none of this changed how the city saw him. You were essential to the city, and the city wanted nothing to do with you. Executioners were pushed to the edges of town, near the brothels, the leper colonies, the latrines they were paid to clean. In many cities, they were required to wear a special mark on their clothing even when off duty, so that people could see them coming and step aside. They could not enter churches freely. They were barred from public bathhouses, from guilds, from the ordinary rhythms of civic life, and their children paid the same price. The son of an executioner could not become a craftsman or a merchant. He was shunned by other children. His only real future was the scaffold. This is how execution dynasties were born. The Sanson family of France produced 6 executioners between 1688 and 1847. 6 generations. The same axe, passed down like an heirloom. They married within their own circle, socialized only with each other, became, in every meaningful sense, a world apart. When they died, they were not buried with other citizens. They had their own graveyards, rough, uncarved stones set apart from the rest. The largest of these still exists today, in Eyüp, Istanbul. But what did all of this do to the man himself? Franz Schmidt prayed before every execution. He was not a monster. His diary shows a man who thought carefully about what he did and why. He sometimes requested delays when a prisoner was too ill to die with dignity. He recorded moments of mercy. A widow who forgave her husband's killer in the final moments, passing oranges and gingerbread through the prison bars. He saw himself as an agent of justice, not cruelty, order. But the pressure was immense. A botched execution, too many axe swings, a rope that failed, could turn the crowd violent. The executioner who failed at his task could be fined, imprisoned, or physically attacked by the same audience he was performing for. Precision was not professional pride, it was survival. And yet Franz Schmidt, over decades of careful work, earned something almost no one in his position ever achieved: respect. His reputation grew. His composure was noted. When he retired, he petitioned the emperor to formally restore his family's honor. It was granted. Franz Schmidt died in 1634. He was 79 years old. He had outlived the scaffold, the crowds, and the city that had never fully accepted him. But his name survived. Who would Franz Schmidt be today? Perhaps someone who works in a prison system. Perhaps a forensic professional. Perhaps someone whose job society depends on entirely, but prefers not to think about too carefully. Every civilization has them. The people who do the necessary work that others cannot face. Essential, compensated, quietly avoided. History remembered the kings who signed the warrants, the judges who passed the sentences, the crowds who gathered to watch. Franz Schmidt kept his own record. 361 names. 361 lives, written in careful handwriting by a man who wanted to be a doctor. That diary is still read today. His name survived, and that is more than most people can say. We have reached the end of another journey through the dusty pages of history, but the whispers of the past never cease.